What's up, Kevin? Yeah, buddy, what is up? Welcome to Duct Tape Dynasty. I am the Duct Tape Dude.
I'm the dude.
And man alive, it's a Saturday. It's the middle of the day, and we've got a show for you. We've got a new show for you we're excited about. We've been excited about it for a long time. And it's finally here. I'm really, really happy that it's finally here. We tried to make it happen last week. I got sick. Sorry about it. COVID hit. Still here, I guess. And we couldn't do it last week, but by God, we're here this week, and it's going to happen. But before we get started, do us a favor real quick. If you're not already a subscriber, minimize that screen, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you are a subscriber, throw some comments in there. All that kind of stuff. All of it helps us. We see all of you out there, 234 subscribers so far, and we have literally seen every single one come online. We're thankful for every single one of you guys. But man, alive, how about it? We are here. And by the way, you hear me say we, but you only see me, so we might as well bring him on. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ag Man himself, fellow Bobcats alum, we both are. Welcome to the Catcast. Yes, we finally done
made it happen. I'm so pumped for this show.
Yes, it's here. Holy cow, I can't believe it's here, man. Well, shoot, let's get right into it. The college football started today.
Let's do it.
It's in full swing. Our beloved Cats. Yeah, them. They don't play until later, so that's why we're having this show now. Anyway, hopefully it's got some good stuff in it. Andrew, we had a fantasy football draft last night. That was an absolute blast, but man, I woke up really early for this show today. I've been up since 6.
I woke up early. I was pumped. Yeah. I was so ready for this. I watched Game Day today, which I know you did too.
Yep.
Got that, just the college football juice is flowing, and I'm excited we have a new show
that
we've
back.
talked about for, how long have we talked about doing this show?
At least a year. At least a year, yeah.
At least a year.
Yeah, we've been trying for a while.
There saying, let's do something college-y every now and again. It'd be fun to just get a new demographic. And we said, well, Game Day already does that, and we both like that. So let's do something a little more local. And now we have the Catcast, which is fantastic. Yes! Every time I hear that, I love it.
I know you like that so much. By the way, we see you guys in the comments. Kevin, hey, what's up? My lovely wife, Mary, is in the comments. I'm glad you're here. Everybody who's out there, throw a comment in there. We're watching them. We will, if you got anything to say, any predictions to make, any, what do you call it? Oh, now I can't remember.
Hot takes?
Yeah, something like that. Sure.
Hot takes.
Any of that,
although if you are a Grizz fan in the comments,
that's your cue to leave. Anyway, so dude, let's get to it. This is obviously called the Catcast. And rightfully so, because we are both Bobcat alum, both Montana State alum, and man, here we go. So Catcast, it'll be cat centric. Why don't we start off? We'll get going right away with, let's talk about last year, how we finished up. Now, we did already have a game this year. I know that
we did,
but like I said, we planned on doing this show last week. And then I got sick. So, in fact, you can kind of still hear it in the voice. But anyway, so let's do a quick recap of last season. There's some good stuff to talk about. A lot of good stuff, actually. I mean, we didn't win the championship, but good stuff. So let's just kick it off with the schedule from last year, and let's look at our wins and losses.
So just breaking it down, we started off the season last year at home. Started off with our opponent that we're playing this evening later tonight, actually, with Utah Tech. Do I need to turn my levels down?
No, you're good. No. I was saying tonight. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, tonight.
That's my bad.
No, you're good. We started off with Utah Tech with our annual Gold Rush game. That's our home opener for the year. For those that don't know for Bobcat stuff, you'll learn a lot about it throughout these shows. I think we have 4 or 5 scheduled for the year.
Yep.
Started off with a bang. We rolled them pretty good at home. It was like 60-something to 20. Like we set up that game. It's a good morale boost. And our uniforms look sweet.
Yeah.
Like they're so cool. They're a gold uniform instead of our blue. The one actually over my shoulder was an old version of the Gold Rush uniform I was able to get my hands on, but the new one is so cool.
Yeah.
Then we went into week 2, first loss of the year to the defending national champions, South Dakota State Jackrabbits. We could have won that game. It was super close. We had some kicking issues early on in the season, so that's why we dropped that game.
Dude, then we went on a streak after that, though.
Then we went on a streak, and that streak that we went on, if you see the color of the date on the graphic that is blue, those are for our home games. We went on a streak last year that was sadly broken at the end of the season, but we'll get there in a second. We played Stetson at home. That's a team from, I don't remember where, but, back east by my standards in Montana. We trounced them, started conference play really early with the Weber State Wildcats down in Utah. Beat them pretty handily, and I think a lot of our conference games weren't really close as far as Montana State. We're a very run-heavy offense, so we put up a lot of points really fast, especially with last year having a 2-quarterback system, which we don't have this year.
Yep.
Our first loss of the conference play came against the Idaho Vandals, and it was in the Kibbe Dome in Moscow, Idaho. And that game we could have won, but again, kicking issues came up.
Yep.
And we had a problem there. But that was one of the conference games that if I was to pick, that would have been one of the ones I was like, we could lose this game.
Okay.
We beat Northern Arizona at home. We beat Eastern Washington at home. First time playing Eastern Washington in quite a few years was last year, I think. At least in Bozeman. We played Eastern a lot in Cheney, which is where they have that bright red turf. We finally played them in Bozeman last year, and we beat them at home. We did a pretty good job on that one, too. One of these games for conference, I can't remember which one, was actually a shutout.
Yeah.
It was like 40-0. Then the 122nd Brawl of the Wild in Missoula didn't go our way, unfortunately. And then
we're going to correct that this year.
We're going to correct that this year, especially since we're back in Bobcat Stadium.
Yes.
We're going to correct that. It's going to be awesome. There's a chance that the Catcast may be pretty close to on-site, not confirming or denying, but there's a chance.
Yeah, there's plans being made, so we'll see.
Things in the works.
We'll see. Then, that's the idea.
We lost to the Grizz, unfortunately, our arch rival, but we did make the playoff bid. We went from the number 3 seed in the nation down to the number 7, but we got into the playoffs. FCS playoffs are always a dogfight, especially when we have North Dakota State Bison the first game on the schedule.
Yeah.
This game was a heartbreaker because they have ended our season 5 times. I've been there for 2 of them. I've seen the other 3 on TV. And we lost this one by 1 point. 1 point, and
tough.
We could have beat
it. We could have won on a field goal,
but it was a lucky block. It ended the season, and it ended a pretty important streak in college football. We had the longest home winning streak in college football, big time or not, with over 20 games at home, which is 3 or 4 seasons without losing at home. And they snapped that streak, so we have to build it back up this season, which we will start doing next week at Gold Rush against Maine.
Yes. Kevin, by the way, has made a comment that says plans are being made, shirts are being made. Yes, their shirts are being ordered for the Brawl of the Wild. We're working on something special for that. In fact, the guy right there, this Tommy Malott, our quarterback. That is Kevin's work right there. He drew that for us. He created that. That's an awesome. You may see that on the Cat Gray shirt. Blaine Thompson, FCS is the best college football, and if Hunter didn't make that catch, NDSU wins that game.
That's very true. I'm not going to disagree. I obviously am an FCS. We're FCS football fans. I know you are FBS because you have the the Oklahoma State Cowboys almost right out your back door. But they're playing an FCS school this week. They're playing South Dakota State, defending national champs today. But FCS, I think, is more of a better college football. Not necessarily because it's faster paced or anything than FBS, but the playoffs make sense. The bowl games still confuse me, even though there's the expanded 12-team playoff this year, which I'm excited to watch. But FCS, I feel like it's the ones that have more to fight for, and it's the ones that are more hometown. So you get the kids more at the state schools, like Montana and Montana State. They have over half of their roster, I think, for both teams are Montana native kids, which is fantastic. Those kids are heckin' good at football. I mean, we have a few pro cats. One of them was from Dillon, Montana, Troy Anderson, starter now in year 3 for the Atlanta Falcons. So he's one heck of an athlete. But yeah, I agree with you, Blaine. FCS is the best college football because it is more knockdown, drag out than even your high-paced FBS college football.
And I do like what you said. Well, that's what I like about FCS is you get a lot more hometown kids, especially with the Montana teams like you mentioned. Anyway, let's get through a few of the highlights actually from last year. We've got I'll just pull over the Montana State Bobcats in general. Let me go through this one.
Okay.
We finished 3rd in the Big Sky Conference, 6-2 record there. Finished 9th in the FCS national ranking. We were 8-4 overall, as we saw from that last slide. 567 total yards, 362 rushing, 205 passing. That was in week 0 matchup.
That was from last week.
And by the way, we are 1-0. And that was a heck of a game. We'll talk about that in a second, but that was a good one, man. I was worried for quite a while on that one. But now we're ranked number 4 in the FCS, right?
We came in preseason poll for Stats Perform and the AFCA, which is the Coaches Association. We have been ranked number 4 in the nation by both of those polls. We are behind North Dakota State, South Dakota State, and the University of Montana. So it is the Dakotas and Montana that take the top 4.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Well, we got a few starters. Yeah, I guess I was saying that right. Starters that are coming back this year. So let's look at some of the highlights for their stats last season. You don't have to read them all off. You can if you want, but let's move through these fairly quickly. Starting off with Tommy, our quarterback. Tell us about Tommy. How did he do last year?
Tommy did really well, and his numbers are a little bit, in comparison to a quarterback you see in college football, maybe a little light, but that's because Tommy was not alone in our quarterback backfield last year. He had Sean Chambers there with him, who is now back. He graduated and is back on the Montana State staff as an assistant to the quarterbacks coach for Montana State this year. So he tried to go pro, didn't quite work out there. I think he had a look from Carolina, but Sean Chambers is back helping Tommy Malott out, and it's all Tommy's show in the backfield this year for his senior campaign. Last year in 2023, Tommy went 75 of 119 for over 1,000 yards. He threw 10 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. His quarterback rating, though, with that was 162.8.
That's all right.
That is quite impressive numbers. I'm not going to complain. He also, our quarterbacks at Montana State and just in general, we are an offensive running threat and rushing threat. So our quarterbacks not only can throw, but they can run. If you knew Sean Chambers, he had like 21 touchdowns in a season a couple years ago. Just on the ground from him. But Tommy, last year, he had 85 carries for just shy of 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. Do we have a Bailey infestation?
Yeah, Bailey has joined us. Hi,
Bailey.
Hey, big dog.
Hi, Bailey B.
Anyway, yeah, Bailey is here.
And then this year, going into it, Tommy is a 3rd-year team captain. He is the first 3rd-year team captain since, I believe, let me find that out here. 3-year team captain. He joins Troy Anderson, who did it a couple years ago from 2019 to 2021. And the only other person before that was Fred Irvin from 1900 to 1902.
Oh, my gosh.
As 3-year team captains. Tommy Malott has also been a Walter Payton Award finalist and is on the watch list again for this season.
That's awesome. What about old boy Greeby? He's coming back this year. Let's talk about him on the defensive side of the football.
Yes, Brody Grebe coming back. He is wearing, as you can see in the graphic, one where he's wearing the cowboy hat. He is the Montana State Agman from Melstone, Montana. If you know where that is, congratulations to you. Not a lot of people do. He is wearing the traditional tradition number for Montana State this year. Someone throughout the team that is a Montana native and a Montana senior wears the number 41 for the sake of the fact that Montana was the 41st state admitted to the Union, as well as an honor to the 1941 Montana State football team that did not survive World War II. So that became our legacy number, and Brody Grebe is wearing that this year, but they implemented a new thing Coach Vegan did this year where all Montana native seniors will have a 41 patch on their jerseys this year.
Nice.
But Brody is the one wearing that number this year.
That's awesome.
He came in 2023 campaign when he was still wearing number 10. You can see it in the small picture in the graphic. 50 total tackles, 22 of them were solo. He had 9.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, 2 pass defense. This guy is just a monster. If you get him on the edge and actually let him get by you, you better hope your quarterback has good life insurance, because this guy's going to put him in the ground. He was Big Sky Conference preseason defensive MVP for the entire conference for this year. He was also Stats Perform All-American 2024 for this year. He's on the watch list for the Buck Buchanan Award, which Montana State players have won in the past, but it's been a few years since we have. We've had finalists for the last few years, but we haven't won it since, I think, 2013 or 14. And he's also one of our team captains this year.
Yes.
So Brody is lighting it up. If we were to do an on a roll segment for college, these two are definitely our nominees for sure for on a roll.
Oh, yeah.
But that's an NFL thing and Bully's specialty. So
yes. By the way, Blaine
if you guys
says,
are new to the show, go ahead.
Blaine says that patch, the 41 patch, is a nice touch. He said he didn't know about that. And in fact, I didn't know about that until you just said it. And I had the exact same thought as Blaine here. That's a cool little touch. I like that. 41 for all the seniors. The patch.
Yep, and it was a new thing this year. Because I know when they go through every year, Montana State fans like to guess who's going to wear the legacy number. It was pretty obvious that it was going to be Brody Grebe this year. So they made the comment, and because there was so many deserving seniors that could have worn it. Obviously, Tommy can't wear it because he's a quarterback, and 41 is not a quarterback number, but he easily could have earned it as well. That's where Coach Vegan said, you know what, we're going to honor all of our Montana seniors by doing that patch, but we're still going to give it the actual number on the field. We're going to give it to our guy.
Yeah.
So that's why Brody's wearing that this year. I love that they had added that. I wish they would have done it sooner, honestly.
Now, how about this guy? He's starting at center, right? Not a lot of people talk about the centers, but here he is, Mr. Justice Perkins.
Yes.
Let's talk about
Justice
him.
Perkins, he is fantastic. He's actually a Montana State legacy. His dad, Josh Perkins, played there. I can't remember how long ago Josh was playing there, but also Justice's brothers are coming in and playing for the Cats as well. They're starting to get to be in college now. So it's a whole family affair for the Perkins family with Montana State. They're Bozeman natives. And he was
awesome.
Stats Perform preseason All-American for this year, same as Brody Grebe was. There's not necessarily very many stats for 2023 for a center, so it's a little awkward on the graphic. He's a third-team All-American, and he was rated the third best center in the entire FCS.
Not bad.
Which is fantastic.
Not
and he's ending
bad.
his senior campaign as a team captain, as he should. Justice does a great bit of work for the Cats. He was not in the game last week against New Mexico, but hopefully he will be back by Gold Rush next week. I'm not sure if he's on the active list for today or not. But
Okay. Well, what about this guy? This guy who is also on the offensive line. It's Weir. Is it Weir? Weir.
Yep,
Okay.
Weir.
I always want to say Weir. Anyway, Weir. So yeah, tell us about him. This guy.
Yeah, Marcus Weir. I just said on the offensive line because he rotated some spots. He's played at tackle. He did quite a bit last year. He's now, I think he played at guard last week. Again, same thing. The Stat Perform All-American. He was preseason All Big Sky team. Him and Tommy Malott both. He is also a Walter Payton Award watch list along with Tommy Malott this year. So the Cats have two people that have the chance of winning that Walter Payton Award, which is fantastic because it's the merits more than it is it's the merits as a person as well as on the field. And he's one of our team captains rounding it out this year. It'll suck to see him go, but it's awesome that we have such a sturdy offensive line, especially with the amount of leadership we have with Marcus and with Justice that we just talked about.
Well, I tell you what, without a solid line, man, it doesn't matter how good you are everywhere else, because if that line can't protect you, you don't have time to do anything. So, yeah, good to see.
True.
Good to see. Let's switch sides of the ball. Let's talk about the safety position. Rylan Ort.
Rylan.
So,
Rylan Ort.
Tell me about him. How did he do last year?
So he was Montana State's leading tackler last year, actually. Even with Brody Grebe on the roster, as well as another linebacker we're going to talk about here in a minute. But Rylan Ort, he's our Swiss Army knife at safety. 74 total tackles, 39 solo by himself, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions, and a touchdown off of those interceptions. Honorable mention for all Big Sky team. He missed that mark just slightly, and he's a team captain again this year. But if you watched the game last week against New Mexico, you heard his name several times because he is one heck of a defensive player. He is downhill all the time, and he goes in there. That's why he has so many sacks. For a safety, 2 is actually quite a lot for a safety.
Yeah.
But having as many tackles as you do is because he's just downhill all the time. He's
awesome.
a last line of defense is the safety position, but he's a good guy to have as your last line of defense. So I'm not going to be complaining too much.
Well, somebody that's going to be up a little closer than him is this next guy. Dude, I can't say his last name. Danny.
Okay.
There you go.
Danny Ululia-Kepa is his name. So
yes.
Ululia-Kepa.
Sorry, no disrespect, Danny. I just don't want to butcher your name, brother. So anyway,
no, that's understandable.
I just have him written down as Ulu. That's what I put it as.
Yep,
Ulu.
That's fair. And honestly, with the announcers on TV last year with ESPN Plus, all that stuff, when you're watching the Cat games, they just said Danny U. They didn't even.
Okay.
They said Danny U at the same
time.
That
works. 59 tackles last year.
59 tackles last year, 28 solo, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble. He also had a couple games where he was out for injury, and then he also had a couple games where it was, if you like to yell at referees for calls they make, he was in a subject of a couple of those. So he had a couple of issues last year, but they weren't too bad. Last week he played, but he was pretty quiet last week against New Mexico. But we're hoping to see Danny have a resounding comeback this year. He is one of our team captains. He's one of the just most morale-boosting players on the team. If you see when he does any social media takeover of the Montana State page, he is a great person to have on the defense, and he pairs well with everybody there. He's a great leader for our team. And it's a fantastic person to have as a team captain. Also going into his senior campaign, I think most of these captains we've talked about are our seniors. There's a couple players that aren't captains that we'll get to in a minute that aren't seniors, but they make just as big of an impact on the Cats as the ones we've talked about so far have been.
Well, let's talk about this guy then. Let's go back to the other side of the ball. You talked about how much we're a running team. How about at running back with Julius Davis?
Yes, Julius Davis, he was new to Montana State last year. He was a transfer from Wisconsin, so he had some big-time football play and then came down to us, but we were happy to have him. Obviously, if you can see by this graphic, he's hurdling the defender. He did that several times last season, and it was amazing every single time.
Yeah.
He had 104 carries for 722 yards, 6 scores. He also is a pretty decent receiving threat. He had 5 receptions for 43 yards, and he averaged 8.6 yards per reception. So he definitely has the accolades. If you leave him open in the passing game, he's a good safety threat to go to. Second team All Big Sky. And then, like I said, he was a transfer from Wisconsin in last season. But we're happy that he's still with Montana State this year because he plays angry, and it is awesome.
Oh, man, I love it. Let's talk about this next guy. Two more to talk about, and then we'll get into the rest of it. Humphrey. Talk to me about Humphrey.
Yes.
Sorry, I switched the camera over to Bailey. She's sleeping on the couch now.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. We love to see Bailey.
Everybody loves Bailey.
Scottre Humphrey, he is a true sophomore. He is now taking a majority of the snaps at running back, sharing them with Julius Davis. Humphrey was our number 1 guy last week, and he also split some snaps with Adam Jones, but I don't know. We didn't highlight him this week.
Adam Pac-Man Jones? No, I'm kidding.
Not Pac-Man Jones, just Adam Jones. I thought that every time they said his name,
I know.
too. I'm honest.
Yeah, when you say Adam Jones, it's automatic, dude. I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Pac-Man sees a lot of our stuff, actually. I tag him in a lot of our posts, and he's actually responded
Fantastic.
to us and stuff, which is, anytime we get a response, like a no kidding response.
Like, oh my God.
Oh my Lord.
Even if it's just a thumbs up or something. Like, we're noticed.
But like he wrote to us. That was cool. So sorry. Sidetrack there.
No, it was fantastic.
But where are we? I went to
Scott Trey.
Yeah, Scott Trey Humphrey.
So Scott Trey Humphrey, he got a shout out on the McAfee show last week too. They're like, awesome name. This guy's a dog.
A dog. Actually, he's
in 2023.
There you go.
He's a cat.
Yeah.
In 2023, he had 24 carries for 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he wasn't a huge threat throughout the middle of the season last year. He was more of our gold rush guy last year because Julius Davis came in and knocked the door off the hinges. Scott Trey had 3 receptions for 41 yards, averaging 13.7 yards a reception. But in week 0, just last week, 2024 week 0, he had 19 carries, 140 yards, and a touchdown. That happened to be the game-winning touchdown over the New Mexico Lobos. He is going to light it up this year. I can feel it. He is part of what fans like to call the 6-headed monster, which is the Montana State running back room, because you could plug in anybody and they all do amazing.
Yes. And let me sidetrack us here for a second. 2 things. Number 1, he's wearing the perfect number, which is 22. That's my number. And then second thing is that helmet right there. That design, is that
good.
new this year or for last year or this year or what? Because it's got the cat on the side. It's got the cat on the side like Tommy Malott here. But the old version didn't have the stripe down the middle. Now it's got the stripe down the middle. Sorry, these are the things that I just love. I love uniforms and all that kind of stuff. So, in fact, we have a uniform show that we did a couple weeks back just about NFL uniform. Anyway, but this helmet looks sick, man. I was going to say with that Bobcat on the side of it, that was my favorite, but it did look a little plain when it was all white. This stripe really does it for me. So sorry to sidetrack us there, but I absolutely am a big fan of this helmet.
No, I agree. This helmet is fantastic. I'm 95% certain that it's new on the fact that this combination is new. We obviously have had the white helmet with the blue and gold inverted stripe with the blue and gold M on the side. That has become kind of a staple for MSU the past couple years. We've had the Bobcat on the side where it's the blue with like the gold film on the inside of the blue. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see it a little bit without the stripe. And then they've swapped white and blue face masks on the helmets as well. But I think this combination in its entirety is brand new.
Yeah, this looks good.
I want it.
Yeah.
I want the real one.
I'd like to have
a
full
one. I want all of it.
Like my little stormtrooper over here that's got, Charger stuff on. I'd like to put him in all this stuff. That would be cool. So
that'd be sweet. And I think you were mentioning the uniform show. I think if Sergio would ever be down for it, if we should, see what he thinks of some college uniforms. I think that would be a very fun show.
Boy, that could be a fun show. And
we could try and we'll see what he thinks. He's on a cruise right now, which is
why he's a little busy.
His fantasy football team is a little interesting
yesterday. Yeah, last night was our fantasy draft. That was anyway. All right, let's get us back on track here with McCullough.
Yep, Ty McCullough. He is a transfer from Colorado State a couple years ago, but he's a proud Bobcat now, and we're happy to have him. He came out last year, 25 receptions, 473 yards, about 18.9 yards per reception, and 5 touchdowns. So he's a point scorer. You put him in the open, he's going to be hard to stop. Last week, he did really well in week 0. He had 7 receptions, 66 yards. He had a touchdown, and he was like 9.4 yards a reception. His touchdown, wide open. New Mexico didn't even bother to block him, and that was a mistake. Yep. He was wide open, 5 yards away from him on either side, and he got us back in the game and got our momentum rolling to where we could eventually come back and get the win.
I see you, Blaine. Heck yeah, I'm a Chargers fan. I was born in San Diego, dude. That was back in the day when that team used to be in San Diego. But, yeah, I'm a Chargers fan through and through. So, Blaine says bolt up. I like Blaine a lot more. Not that I didn't like him before, but anyway, sorry. Sidetracked again, but it was a comment, and it was a good comment. I had to. So, anyway, sorry. Anything else to say on McCullough before we move on to let's talk about this year and what's coming up? We'll review one game, and then we've got today's game, and anything else about McCullough?
I'm just excited to see. excited to see how this guy does throughout the season. He was kind of the secondary guy for a little while because we had Lance McCutcheon for a minute. Then he went to the NFL. And now we have, I think, Ty McCullough. This is his year to be the number one guy. We do have another guy with Alexander Jr. at wide receiver. That's going to be a good combination between him and Alexander. But I think this is McCullough's year to be our guy. So I'm excited to see how he plays in the 2024 campaign. I'm excited to see him tonight against Utah Tech, and then especially when they get back to Bobcat Stadium. I'm excited to see how they roll.
Yeah, now you're going to be there for the Gold Rush game, right?
I will. I will be there for Gold Rush.
You that's one that now, I mean, you just graduated. This is your second year not going to Montana State. This is your second year out. So are you going to plan on going back for every Gold Rush game? Is that the kind of alumni you're going to be?
I would love to go back for a Gold Rush game. I'd love to go back for all home games. Eventually, if I have enough disposable income throughout a year to be a season ticket holder,
how far of a drive is that for you?
I can. It's about 4 hours.
It's doable.
4 hours, a little over 200 miles. It's doable. It's a slog if you're not ready for it, but I am hoping to go back for Cats games at least one or two, if not more, every single season. Because Bobcat football, I have been in love with Bobcat football since I was a little kid. And ever since my first Cat game, it was like you just fed the addiction and monster, and you can't stop. So
yeah, my family all went to Montana State. I went to Montana State. I've got a kid that's at Montana State now, even though we live in Oklahoma. Like he had never been to Montana, but he's like, I'm going. So he loves it. He's in his second year there. But yeah, this year, the Gold Rush game is, who the heck is that against? Maine? Yeah, that's against Maine.
Maine is our Gold Rush game this year.
Okay. So I've got our schedule pulled up. We haven't played
them in a while.
So let's just real quick hit the schedule. So we had the Lobos last week, FCS opponent, and that game, again, we'll talk about it in just a second. Great win there. That was tough to watch. I was a little downtrodden for quite a bit, but we got that win. Now today we're coming in. We're once again favored. We were favored heavily last week. We're favored way more heavily this week. Hopefully it turns out to be appropriate. Hopefully we earn that. 4 hours is a skip in Montana is what Blaine says. I agree. Yeah, just to get home from college was 2. So yeah. Then we got Maine. Then we got whatever that is. What's on the 21st? That's
Mercyhurst University. That was a new addition to our schedule pretty late in the go. We had Stephen F. Austin on our schedule beforehand, and then they ended up backing out of the contract with Montana State across all sports. And that was supposed to be a game on September 14th. But since they backed out on that one, we had a bye on the 21st anyway. So we said, all right, we're just going to make our bye the 14th. We'll find a new team. We found Mercyhurst, and they said they'd want to play us. So they have a contract for this year, and I don't know if it's future years. But they're our new game that is going to conclude non-conference play this year after we had our FBS opponent and 3 FCS schools.
I said FCS.
That are a little bit smaller than us. And then we start conference playoff with Idaho State, the Bengals, out of, I think, Pocatello, Idaho, I think.
That sounds right. And then who's that next one? Go ahead and go through the rest of it. We got Northern Colorado. Then we got the Vandals. Then we got who?
Yep. Then we have the Portland State Vikings. Yep. They're back in Portland. We play Eastern Washington again, except we're on that red turf in Cheney. And then we come back. We play Sacramento State at home. That is going to be some conference implications. If history serves, Sacramento State, when conference play starts, is going to become dangerous, as is Idaho and is Montana. There's going to be some high-stakes conference play on the line with a lot of these games. After Sacramento State, we go to Davis, California to play UC Davis. We haven't played them in a few years. I can't remember how they finished in the conference, but they've gotten a lot better recently. But then the game that matters the most, no matter what happens, whether we're having a great year, whether we're having a poor year, the game that matters, November 23rd, the 123rd Brawl of the Wild game, Montana versus Montana State. It's Cat Grizz, baby. It's in Bozeman.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yes.
We are going to bring that Great Divide Trophy back home. It's sitting in the wrong place right now. We need to bring it back to Bozeman, and we're just going to go out, win that game. The last time we had the Grizz at home, College Game Day was there. They realized it was a big game, so they showed up.
You were there,
man,
with McAfee.
I was there,
right?
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish I was like there with McAfee, but I was there, and so was he.
Yeah, okay.
So it was kind of one of those situations. But it was fantastic. We went in, freezing cold game, but we went in, won 55-21. We just absolutely steamrolled them, and I'm expecting us to do the same this year.
Yeah, let's hope. All right, so let's talk about last week's game. Montana State at New Mexico. Well, let me see. Yeah, at New Mexico. We already kind of hit it a couple times. We were favored by, 13 and a half?
13 and a half.
Ended up winning by 4 points. Yeah, so the final score was 35-31, but it was a come-from-behind victory for the Cats, which made it, I guess, a lot more exciting of a game. You know,
it was definitely one of those where we were in it. We were down by 17 at one point. We shouldn't have been, and then in the second half or fourth quarter, I can't remember if it was one or both, we had 21 unanswered.
Yeah.
And we just came up, and that's how we won it. We won it on the back of our running backs. Tommy Malott got in his groove again. We just started slow, and that's one thing I'm afraid of, if I have to be completely honest, for all season. MSU has a habit of starting slow, and then we end up coming back. We get in our groove going into halftime. Then we take maybe a couple plays to find it again after halftime, and then we have to play hero ball. And as much as hero ball is rewarding when it works out, God, it is heart attack inducing. Like, that's why I've called these guys the cardiac cats most of the time, because of stuff like that.
By the way,
get a lead, pad the lead, just keep rolling.
Blaine said Tommy's comments after the game was pure class.
That's true. He's a class act.
Sorry, a little bit of sickness there, still hanging out. He's a great guy. He's a great dude. So there were a couple other. Officially, last week was week 0, right? It was the Ireland game. You know, if you're a game day watcher, Pat McAfee watcher, you know, they were over in Ireland.
How fun was it, though, just to take this rabbit hole a little bit, to have a college football game in Dublin?
Oh, my gosh.
How cool of an idea is that?
Dude, when we were stationed over in England, we could fly to Dublin and back. Round trip ticket, $25. Not kidding.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, dude. Same day. And you order the tickets like 2-3 days in advance, and it's $25.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, so if I had been stationed there when game day came, I would have been direct right over to Dublin for that one. So that was pretty cool having that game there. But there were a couple other games in addition to our game specifically that happened last week around the Big Sky Conference. Tell us about these two. We got, whatever.
No, so you're good. So around the Big Sky, we had 2 other Big Sky Conference teams play already when they played on Thursday night. The rest of the conference teams will play this week and for the rest of the season. But we had a few that were early. So before week 1 on college football Saturday, we had 3 Big Sky teams play. Obviously, we were one of them in week 0. But we had Sacramento State. They were coming out and they played San Jose State. They were winning at halftime, and I think into the third quarter they were leading pretty good, like 24-21, having a pretty good hold on that lead. But then San Jose State said, nah, we're just going to come back and play football. And they lost 42-24, which in conference standings puts Sac State at the very bottom because they're the only ones that's lost, and they're also one of the only 3 that has played. So all of the 0-0 teams are technically still better than them in the charts standings, but not. That's because they haven't played anybody yet.
Gil the Goat's in there. Sorry, Gil the Goat. Hey, what's up, Gil? He says he can't stay, but he's popping in to say, go Cougars. Anyway, that's Gil.
Go
Gil.
Cougs. All right.
Yeah, hey, thanks for stopping by, Gil. We love you.
We appreciate it, Gil.
We love every time Gil is in the comments. So, Gil, thank you. Hey, throw a like on there if you haven't already, by the way.
Selfless plug.
So, and the other game that happened in the Big Sky Conference was?
We had Eastern Washington. They played Monmouth. Famously, Eastern Washington is the alma mater of one Cooper Kupp for the Los Angeles Rams. And Monmouth, if I remember correctly, was the alma mater for Wes Welker. But
Man.
Eastern Washington came out. They won 42-27. That would put them on top of the Big Sky Conference just on the charts or how the charts were posted. Granted, conference play doesn't start for another few weeks, so we'll have to see what happens after that. But Eastern and Montana State come out with the win. Sac State, unfortunately, comes away with the loss, but the rest of the Big Sky Conference is set to start play today. I know our arch rivals are playing at home in Missoula against Missouri State today, and Wally's actually going to be there. And then the Cats play later tonight, 8 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah, actually,
against
it's
Utah Tech.
Let me put that up here. I've got a little slide for it that says it is at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, so that's 9 p.m. Central. That's 10 p.m. Eastern. It's on ESPN Plus.
And 7 p.m. Pacific.
Yes, and sometime in Hawaii. I think they're 4 hours ahead of me, so whatever. On ESPN Plus, aren't all our games typically streamed on ESPN Plus? Don't we have that?
The Big Sky Conference, they cut a deal with ESPN. It used to be Root Sports had the Big Sky Conference license, and they did a great job. But ESPN came in with ESPN Plus a few years ago, and Big Sky Conference signed the license with them. So all of our games, unless they are televised on ESPN or ESPN2, will be streamed on ESPN Plus. We have one game throughout the season that we'll get to in a future Catcast. That is a primetime game on ESPN2. But that game, so that one will not be on ESPN Plus, I don't believe, but all of our other games will be.
Yeah. So, all right. Hopefully you guys are ESPN
if you want
subscribers.
to have us give you more selfless plugs, please endorse us.
Like ESPN listens to us. That would be cool.
That would be cool.
But, yeah, so I am an ESPN subscriber or whatever, so I get to watch all the games. I love it. But yeah, we're going to play the Trailblazers, the Utah Tech Trailblazers. What a name of a team. I mean, they're a Buffalo, they're a Bison, but they went with Trailblazers. Okay, fair enough, whatever. So yeah, okay, you've been doing a bunch of talking. I'll take this. The Trailblazers, as for how they did last season, they finished 8th in the United Athletic Conference at 1-5 in the conference. Overall record 2-9. This is the kind of opponent that I like to see my team going against. Okay, let's hope they keep that kind of thing up. They were only just over 23 points per game last year, and 385, a little over per game, yards per game.
That's our rushing yards for the game, not even including our passing yards.
Yeah.
That's just Montana State's rushing yards.
So hopefully we can get through this one fairly easy, because that's right. We were supposed to have the Catcast last week, so it would have been that one. But now that it's this week, it's this one. So
right.
We're actually favored by 22.5 points. Now, last week, like I said, we were favored by 13.5, barely won the thing. We're favored by 22.5. If we barely win this thing, I'm going to start having real worries. Okay, real early in the season.
Yeah.
So let's not mess around with this one, guys. Let's just get this one done. All right.
That's true. We are favored
expect?
by 22.5. We're favored, but also if you look at the track record on that graphic, we are 3-0 against Utah Tech.
Oh yeah.
Every time they have played us since that contract started, or since they've even thought about playing Montana State, we have beaten them every time. So I'm not particularly worried about this matchup. I'm more worried of how are the Cats going to look when they come out in this game to start. Like I said, we had a slow start last week, which is why we had to play hero ball. And as rewarding as it is to see that finish, it is just gray hair, heart attack inducing the entire way.
Hero ball is great as long as it works out in the end.
As long as hero ball works, it's great. Otherwise, it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Again, I think we'll handle Utah Tech tonight pretty well. I just want to know, how are we going to come out in this game? How are we going to start? And if we put the pedal to the metal, are we going to keep it, or are we going to end up letting off and unfortunately letting them get back into it ever so slightly, which we also have a habit of doing.
You know, the Oklahoma State Cowboys, which is the team that I'm close to now, being in Oklahoma, you mentioned that earlier. They are one of those teams. They'll get a lead, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna play prevent defense until, not just until the team catches up. We're gonna play prevent defense until the team takes over the lead, and then we'll start playing again. And it's so painful to watch, you know? So, yeah, hopefully the Cats don't do that, but throughout the season, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, they already did it once.
With our schedule, we can't afford to do it with this schedule, especially when we get into conference play. Every Saturday matters. Every game matters. Even though we're going against teams like Idaho State and Northern Colorado, who are historically not the greatest in the Big Sky Conference, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Like you say in NFL, any given Sunday, it is any given Saturday with the Big Sky Conference play. I think the Big Sky Conference, and you could make an argument for the Mission Valley Conference too, or Missouri Valley, sorry, not Mission Valley, the Missouri Valley Conference. You could make an argument that either of those two conferences are the SEC of the FCS. So It is literally, it's every given Saturday. You just have to make sure we come in with our heads on and we come out fast, because some of these teams do too, especially when we get into the back half. Idaho, Eastern, Sac State, Montana, they're not going to let us take it easy.
Yeah.
We're projected second in the Big Sky Conference this year for finishing, unfortunately behind Montana. But that means we have to come out and prove people wrong.
Yes.
So we just need to come out fast and do it. That's what I'm afraid of the most. But I think we have a team that's well put together. We have a team that's made it, like some of these players have made it to the championship before. They know what it takes to get there, and we're built and primed, ready to win. We just need to go out and do it.
Yep. I'm hoping for, well, of course, I'm hoping for a good season. We all are, right? But okay, so give me this. Now, I know I didn't prep you for this ahead of time, but I'm gonna. So 12-game season, what do you think the Bobcats record, honestly, at the end is?
12-game season, looking at the regular season, I could honestly see our record being either 9-3 or 10-2. I think we're projected 8-4. I think our hardest games is going to be Idaho, and then our next hardest game is going to be Montana for sure. Those are our two hardest games of the year, but I'm not ruling out Eastern or Sac State. So even if we fall 8-4 like we did last year, I can see that as a realistic floor for Montana State. The ceiling, of course, is 12-0, but the floor I think is 8-4 for MSU, and we still make the FCS playoffs. We still host an FCS playoff game. I think we are in the top 10 or 8 seats in the FCS playoff by the end of the year, just because we're starting at a number 4. So it gives us a pretty good idea of where we want to be.
Yep.
We've been top 5 the last couple years through polls, like preseason polls, postseason activity. Last year we had a bit of a slip because of how bad we lost our Brawl of the Wild game, but I think we're definitely top 10. I think we're top 5 caliber. Like I said, floor is 8-4, ceiling is 12-0. Realistically, I could see 10-2 though.
Okay,
season.
That's cool. Of course, I'm going to say 12-0, but 10
I would love. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say it, but realistically, I can see 10-2.
10-2 is definitely, that's kind of my high expectation. Now, I mean, they have the ability to win every single game. That's nothing against the Cats, but you know, everybody else gets, as they say, paid to play too. Now, granted, I know NIL, different thing, but you get it. You know, the other teams have players on their teams as well. It's not like we're going against, you know, nobodies. So, I'd say 10-2 would be great. I agree with you. 8-4. That's kind of where I have them, is at 8-4. I hope that's the bottom for them. I hope they do better than 8-4. But as long as they come away 1-0 from that game on 11/23, I don't care. Right? Just beat the Grizz.
If that
just
game
beat the
is
Grizz,
1-0,
baby.
That's what matters.
Yep. Just beat the Grizz. So, man, there you go. So that's our season to be. Excited for it. A lot going on. We're missing college football right now, but this is awesome. This has been fun.
Oh yeah, it's been great.
And man, I can't wait to watch this game tonight. I'm sure you and I will be texting, doing all that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
if you remember how Dave was, like you said, for a Dallas Stars game, that's how I am for cat games.
Oh,
that's me
man.
for cat games.
Oh,
so
I love it.
Just know, if you get several texts in a row, I'll either be freaking out excited or freaking out angry.
All right.
All
right.
That is how I am. How Dave is for Dallas Stars games, I am for Montana State.
Dude, I didn't think Dave was going to survive the playoffs last year. Like I was almost thankful when the Stars lost out. You know, I wanted them to win. I mean, we had Darth Vader back there in a Stars jersey earlier, last season, but and he'll be back this year. But yeah, Dave, like, I mean, every game it was like this dude, like I was concerned, like I can't even put it into words. Listen to me now. There's just no way to even describe it. He was just so, I guess, unhinged. Unhinged.
Yeah, that's how it can go.
It was like watching, his firstborn child, on a hospital bed or something.
Like
it was like, walk into traffic. That's what it's like. Yeah. And you can't do anything about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if you've checked the comments recently. Seeing one, Blaine has a really good comment, and I agree with it. Especially, it will come in handy having both home games against those big opponents in the Big Sky Conference, that being Montana and Idaho. That will be a huge advantage for us, because Montana State, Bobcat Stadium can get very loud.
Yep.
Having been in that atmosphere for the last 14 plus years, going to games consistently, it has been loud. It's great. Granted, we're not in a dome, so we don't have that to bounce back on. But Bobcat Stadium has been one of the loudest stadiums I've been to, and I've been to a Cat Grizz in Washington Grizzly Stadium. That is also very loud. But Bobcat Stadium is a great home field advantage for our team. So I think we need to use that especially to our advantage.
I used to work at the stadium. I worked concessions while I was in college.
All right.
Yeah, so I was a hot dog cooker or something during that time. But yeah, it was it's loud. It's loud. I tell you what, especially with all the concessions being underneath the stands like they normally are. Right. Tucked away underneath. I mean, people stomping and yeah, it gets pretty darn loud. Have you
experienced a Bobcat game in person since they put the bowl in about?
Nope.
10, 12 years ago?
I haven't been to a Bobcat game since I was in college there, and I graduated in 2002.
They have added a lot of new things since then. That ending end zone is now called the Sunny Holland end zone. It is bowled in. The turf is new. They just added a new Jumbotron this year, which I'm excited to see how it looks. It is now bigger, wider. It's right on top of the athletic complex at the very end of the stadium. That's there now. Like, I'm excited. Hopefully later this season we can both get tickets to that 11-23 game.
Yes.
And we can go in. I want to go to a Cat game with you because we have our show now.
Yes.
I want to see what you think of Bobcat Stadium.
We've had
now that it is renewed.
I tell you what, I almost took Bobcat Stadium down one time. This is story time now, okay? Story time. You haven't heard this story. So I worked concessions. It was not during the football season, although when I almost took the stadium out. It was during the basketball season. And because, the football stadium's so big, a lot of storage for food products is at the stadium, is at the football stadium. So me and I can't even remember who the other guy was. We took one of those big old box trucks, like it's a U-Haul, but like the cab or like the box part comes over the cab. You know what I mean? That. Yep. So, pretty big truck. And we would go and we'd pick up whatever we needed and bring it back to the field house for the basketball game. Well, on one side of the stadium, you can drive under it. No problem. Well, where we needed to go was the other side of the stadium. And I was not driving. But I was in the passenger seat and I had no seatbelt on. And let's just say the other side of the stadium was a little lower than the side that we could fit on. And so this dude's cruising along. I don't know how fast we're going, but all of a sudden just kaboom! And I'm like literally laying in between the dash and the front window, like stuck in there. I'm like, what just happened? We peeled back the top of that roof like a sardine can, dude.
No.
You could see in there. So I was like, oh my God. So we both go back. Now, again, I was just a passenger, but I was there,
Right. Witness.
And we both go back and we're like, well, here's the keys. Here's our IDs. Here's our, we're done, I guess. We're fired. They didn't fire us. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, we smashed into the Bobcat Stadium, and we absolutely freaking sardine can that truck. It just rolled it right back. You could see straight in, dude. It was awesome. Straight in or straight out, whichever way you were looking. But yeah, that was my highlight.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Montana State concessions and when I almost took out Bobcat Stadium. So there you go.
Oh, man.
There you go, man. So that's story time for today. All right, I pulled up our social slide. We've been here for an hour. Can you believe that? An hour-long show. We've done it.
I can, but
Blaine,
I also can't. But
thank you so much, by the way, Blaine, who has just been electric in the comments. I've seen all your comments.
Blaine, thank you so much.
Yeah, sorry I haven't replied or commented on every of the comments, but yeah, we appreciate having you in there and some great insight from Blaine as well. So keep coming back, brother. We appreciate it. So, but yeah, this slide over here is our socials. Hey, Joel Duck. Yeah, that's nice, Kevin. Yeah, that's about it, dude. It was so bad. But this is our socials. So if you just want to take a screenshot of this right here and go back to it in your photos. And if you hold your finger on any one of these, hang on, there we go. These QR codes, it'll take you to that website. So, obviously the YouTube one goes to the YouTube page and TikTok, you get it. But that fourth one down there that has a little duck face in front of it, looks a little different. That, literally right there for Andrew. That's his Instagram account. He's posting all our stuff as well. He does a lot of additional stuff, a lot of cat stuff, a lot of, great follow. Anyway, give that a follow. And then the Sportniks. So like this little dude that's right here, a little running back designed by Kevin Sportniks, who's in the comments. And he says, have a good day, brothers. If you're interested in having a Sportnik of your kid or you or whoever made, dude, hit that QR code. That'll take you to his Facebook page and he can hook you up. Kevin's a great dude. He's been a great addition to our team this year. It's just been, it's going to be a good year, dude. I'm excited. I'm ready to go watch some stinking football though. How about you?
Let's do it. I'm excited. College football's back. There's only 2 words that I can say to end the show for our first Catcast, besides thank you, and that's go Cats.
Sorry, I had to. I have the sound down a little bit because I got the music that started, but so that wasn't as loud as it could have been. But you get it. Nonetheless, the first Catcast has happened. Episode 1 is in the books. We are excited. We thank you all for being here. We absolutely love every single one of you. You guys are the best. And until next time, what the heck? I guess we'll see you, huh? We're out of here.
Go Cats!
Go Cats, go, baby.